I see he's got a Void Wielder in hand, but that doesn't really do much for him here.
No, he doesn't have any pressure.
No, he
Yuza
doesn't have
still
any
on
pressure,
18,
and he's not under any pressure.
Yuza has multiple 4 toughness blockers with reach.
That's right. So he just ships a turn back with nothing to do. I believe he's got an Avenging Arrow in his hand. However, we see Golgari Longlegs come down for Martin Yuza. This card's solid. You know, it's never really exciting, but it's a 5/4 for 5 mana, and it certainly punches through a lot of things and blocks fairly well with the 4 toughness. Now, we do see the Void Wielder here. He's just using it as a tempo play to make Martin reuse his mana. It's not really getting him anywhere here, though. You know, Void Wielder is a card you want to play when you're way ahead, and you can stay that way, or when you're behind and need to catch up. But right now, it's just going to get him a reprieve of a turn. I mean, the Frostburn Weird also does trade for the Golgari Longlegs if Alex wants that to happen. And again, I think he might have a Avenging Arrow in hand as well. All right, play this. Play a forest. Say go. So this is a much different pace match than the one we saw previous with Yuya versus Luis, where they were just throwing haymakers, attacking a lot. There was a lot happening in the early turns. This one is more of a staring match here. All right, so it looks like Alex is lining up a play here. He's got 3 islands, and he's going to play an Azorius Key Rune. He's also got 3 mana for... All right, a Sunspire Griffin does nothing.
The Key Rune finally gave him the second white that he needed to play his 2/3 flyer.
That doesn't really do much here.
Nope. Yuza has multiple 4 toughness creatures with reach.
He also has multiple regeneration activations available on his Trestle Troll if Alex's plan is to use the Avenging Arrow on the Trestle Troll. Yuza is surveying the landscape, comparing that to his hand, and he's coming up with a decision here. Does a little math on the table there. Yuza is under no pressure whatsoever. He does have a Golgari Decoy sitting in his graveyard that he can use to scavenge at any point and start attacking if he wants. And it looks like that's what he's going to do. He's going to put them on his Towering Indrik, and he's going to attack with both of his creatures.
Alex chump blocks the Golgari Longlegs, but falls down to 14 from a hit from the Towering Indrik.
Scavenge is a very slow ability, but it certainly is powerful once you get it going.
And
that was essentially a free spell he just got.
Alex already used his Void Wielder to buy himself a little bit of time against the Golgari Longlegs. Yuza's probably figuring he already used a bounce spell. I'm probably safe.
Yeah.
And even if he bounces the Towering Indrik here, he gets to replay it. It's still a very good blocker.
That's right. I see an inaction injunction in Alex's hand. It looks like he's thinking about using it, try to push through some damage here. Although it's not really a long-term
he might use it on the Longlegs or the Indrik.
And just to save some damage.
Yeah.
I mean, I figure he'll probably be looking to trade off his Frostburn Word for the Longlegs if he has the opportunity.
Depends on whether or not he has anything else to do with his mana.
I mean, he could make the play of both, but instead, yeah, you were right. He's just going to inaction injunction the Longlegs just to get a card going and to potentially take less damage on the next turn.
He also might be actively looking for an opportunity to use his Avenging Arrows to kill off the Towering Indrik. Probably the most threatening card on Yuza's board right now.
Sitting at 4/6.
Yeah, it's just a nightmare for Alex to try to get through the Trestle Troll and the Towering Indrik.
That's right.
Should he be able to stabilize.
I like Trestle Troll a lot. If your deck wants to do what Martin is doing here, you know, if he wants to hold back attackers and make the game go long, that card just does an exceptionally good job of that. For a reasonable mana as well. He is the stop sign.
Frustrating card to play against.
It is.
We see. So Alex got that one early hit in with his Frostburn Weird, but since then, Trestle Troll and Towering Indrik have just been making attacking nightmarish proposition for him.
So Alex hits his land drop on his turn. He's got 6 mana up, so he does have the ability to pump up his Frostburn Weird all the way and still have Avenging Arrow active, which is definitely relevant. All right, so I think we're going to see a Grizzly salvage just during the main phase here. Grim Roustabout, that's a Dryad Militant, a couple of lands.
And it was a
treasure defined, yeah.
There we go.
Not going to do anything here because the only cards he can take are the creatures or the lands. He's going to take a Grim Roustabout. Pretty unexciting there. Didn't hit anything with Scavenge.
He doesn't. It's better than drawing those cards for 5 turns in a row.
I guess if your deck has those cards in it, you probably would rather draw some other cards, yes.
And was that a Sewer Shambler at the end?
Do believe it is.
Yuzid doesn't attack. He sees that Alex has 6 mana up. Doesn't want to just walk into something.
What was that?
That was a Tristani's Judgment that took out the Golgari Longlegs, but Alex didn't have any tokens in play.
So do you like taking out the long legs there, or do you like taking out the Tower Endrick, or do you like just sitting? Is there any reason if Yuz is not even attacking you that you use that? Remember,
so 6 mana is so much.
You just want to get it out of the way, so to speak. Just
yeah, Alex doesn't want to cripple himself and be sort of unable to play anything because he needs to leave up mana for the Tristani's Judgment.
Yeah.
And eventually he's going to have to deal with either the Golgari Longlegs or the Towering Indrik at some point.
That is true.
I'm not.
But remember, he is playing against a Golgari deck where pump spells are possible and, more importantly, Scavenge happens.
But look at this board. It's so bad for Alex. Even without the Golgari Longlegs, it wouldn't have taken Yuza long to get a good attack. Oh, and he has another Tristani's Judgment.
Well, that makes a
so
lot of sense.
that makes it even easier.
So, in short order, Alex Morel just mows down both of Martin Yuza's real threats there.
But there's still a Trestle Troll. It's not like Alex suddenly has a good attack.
That's true. So he has just brought himself to the position of not dying, which is a lot better than dying, to be fair. There's a Sluiceway Scorpion now that will be able to attack freely here, though.
May end up trading with the... Might just trade with Alex's Keyrune next turn.
I mean, Alex does have that attack. He can start getting in for 2 every turn and leave his Frostburn
No, the
Weird.
Trestle Troll.
But he's got 2 flyers.
Oh, sure, but then he's leaving himself pretty vulnerable, and he's already down to 14.
That is true. Right now, the Sunspire Griffin is holding back that Sewer Shambler.
Alex trying to figure out if he has any attacks. Shakes his head, no. Passes the turn over to Yuza.
Both players sitting 10-1 here at GP Philadelphia. This is an important match, as everyone will be here in day 2, the draft portion of this event.
Alex does not block the Scorpion. Falls down to 12.
He doesn't want to give Yuza the opportunity to get more Scavenge going, and it looks like Yuza is going to play another Scavenger and a Drudge Beetle here.
So, Sunspire Griffin and Frostburn Weird are doing... Oh, and that's an Avenging Arrow, taking out the Scorpion.
Yep. Does not get exiled. He is going to get a chance to scavenge that. It's got a very reasonable scavenge cost as well at only 3 mana.
So, Yuza might untap, scavenge onto his Grim Roustabout, and start attacking for 4.
Just start battling.
Doesn't have to worry about it dying in combat. Alex already used 2 Tristani's Judgments and a Void Wielder. So.
Now, if you're Yuza, do you consider suiciding in any of your 2-power scavenge there just to start piling up counters on something that can actually get in, or do you just stay patient and sit back?
I don't think that he has to waste any of his creatures. Alex blocks with his Rune Wing. Having a 4/4 attacker is already a pretty substantial clock when your opponent's board is as small as Alex is.
And especially when he's at 12.
Alex doesn't have any attacks. It's not like he's under pressure.
Right.
Yuza has time. Last thing that he wants to do is give up his overwhelming board position.
We see that Alex Murrow is flooding out pretty hard here. He's got 2 more lands in hand. He also blocked with his Rune Wing last turn just to draw a card. He did, and it was another land.
Now that 4/4 Grim Roustabout is just going to keep attacking.
Mm-hmm. Now Yuza can start considering attacking with more if he'd like, but it still doesn't have very clean attacks, yeah. Just patiently starts chipping away at Morel's life total here. This is where he needs a Void Wielder to really kind of restabilize here, I think. All right, he's got a land. Looks like he's got something. What is it?
Is that a cancel? This turn I could see attacking with the Sewer Shambler. So Yuza would then be able to make his other Grim Roustabout a 4/4 and force jump blocks.
Okay. Nope. Yuza just patiently keeps battling away for 4 at a time here. This is the opening game of this match. We can see potentially 2 decks that aren't that quick grinding it out here.
Yuza just at every step of the way sort of played things pretty conservatively.
Yes.
He's
oh, that's what that was.
3/4 Flash Flyer, not a cancel. Significantly better in this spot.
Skyline Predator. All right, now that's pretty good, although it also doesn't block a 4/4 very well, does it?
No. Unfortunately for Alex. He still doesn't have an attack because of that Trestle Troll. So Yuza's never thrown away a resource before he's had to, hoping to get in some damage.
Yep. And it looks like Alex Morel is now in chump block mode on that Grim Roustabout as he hasn't been able to find an answer, and it's lethal.
Even. Oh, we got some cards sneaking their way off the board. Let's try to get them back
that's
on camera.
Big one. A Lotleth Troll there. Now, Hussar Patrol for Alex Morel, but we see a Lotleth Troll for Martin Yuza. Now, in this particular instance, it's not amazing. It's good still. It's a 2-power attacker, which is going to be relevant here. But, you know, an early Trestle Troll as we proceed to the next game here eventually is going to be very, very good. All right, so it looks like Alex attacked with his Hussar Patrol, but it was just blocked by the Trestle Troll. All right, spending 4 mana. He's got a Rogue's Passage. I see. He's got a Rogue's Passage, and that is going to finish off the game there for Martin Yuza. This is going to be kind of an interesting battle here because I think we're going to see some pretty extensive sideboarding on the part of Alex Morel. Martin Yuza's deck seems fairly well positioned to beat a bunch of small flyers if that is Alex's plan. We didn't get to see a ton of his stuff. Remember, he drew quite a few lands that game.
Right, and Yuza played an early Trestle Troll and a Towering Indrik that game. Alex was never able to punch through for damage. He got in 1 early hit with the Frostburn Weird.
Yeah, he would have liked to use one of those Tristani's Judgments to take out that Trestle Troll to start battling, but
he
couldn't afford to do it. Yeah,
he didn't have enough pressure. He was always backpedaling.
He was facing down bigger threats, so that if he ever tried to mount an offensive, he just would have taken a huge hit back the other direction.
Yeah. It was really interesting for me to watch the way Yuza decided to play that game. There were a lot of points in there where I think I would have gotten tempted to go a more aggressive route.
I always do that.
Maybe suicide in 1 or more of my Scavenge creatures to build a bigger Grim Roustabout early, or build a second big Grim Roustabout, and that probably would have left me more susceptible, well, at least early on, to some of the cards that my opponent would have had. And then later on, sure, I might have gotten a quicker kill, but if I had just been as aggressive as possible from the beginning, I would have lost that game sitting in Martin's seat.
That's right.
Sure, you know, it's very easy to kind of play armchair quarterback later on, it's like, oh yeah, well he didn't have that, so obviously you should have done this.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hop in at exactly the point that Alex has used his last removal spell,
Mm-hmm.
then, oh yeah, of course you should be more aggressive there.
Sure. But Alex did have cards in his hand that entire that entire game.
And Yuza just wore them away. He's also able to get a lot of good stuff out of his Grizzly salvages. That's a card that some people overlook when they're drafting Golgari.
Mm-hmm. You think it's an important card in the Golgari archetype?
I think so.
It's a good
That
card.
might have to be one of the cards that you just have to prioritize in order to make the deck work.
It could be. You do get a lot of value out of it. Again, though, it's just, you know, you and I feel similar on these things. It's, you're going to spend your mana and your turn doing that. Like, it's nice to sneak one in later. But, you know, Golgari's very mana-hungry deck. Like, it wants regeneration mana up. It wants you to scavenge stuff. Wants you to keep playing bigger and bigger things. It's like, it's kind of sometimes can be pretty tough to find a spot to get that Grizzly salvage in there.
Right.
All right,
But
players are looking at their hands here. Alex should be on the play here most likely, and he is going over his options. He doesn't like what he sees, and he's going to throw his hand back and go down to 6 here. Has Martin kept? It does look like it.
So in game one, we saw Yuza play an early stab wound that Alex was able to knock out with his Keening Apparition, but Alex hadn't had that Keening Apparition. He would have had to have spent an entire turn pumping his Frostburn Weird up
Just to kill it.
just to deal with the stab wound.
Can't be happy about that very often.
Alex going down to 5.
Yeah, he looked pretty unhappy about it too. He was a little bit reluctant there to go to 5 as you usually are, because that transition from 7 to 6 isn't too painful, but the one from 6 to 5 is starting to get a little bit stressful. But he knows he's going to need a certain type of hand and to beat Martin's deck, as he did get to see a good portion of the deck thanks to those 2 Grizzly salvages, plus just a pretty long game 1 there.
Stab Wound seems like, well, Stab Wound's always a very good card, but it seems like a particularly good card in Martin's deck because he has so many good defensive creatures.
You can just sit there.
Gum up the board and just let Stab Wound do all the work for him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Alex did find a hand that he wanted to keep, and he's got his second Plains down. That, you know, that's a far cry from what we saw before, where he went Island, Frostburn Weird. And
But
it looks like
no
he's
third land.
missed his third land drop. This is the mold of 5. This is how things go sometimes.
Yuza doesn't have a third land either.
Okay, and he's got a Grim Roustabout. He did unleash it, though. He's in a battle for 2. Alex misses another land drop here. Is Yuza going to do the same? He's discarding, it looks like.
No.
Yeah?
Oh, right. It's his turn 4.
Yeah, and he is discarding.
But discarded a Sewer Shambler.
All right, so that's going to potentially give him a later game, but it looks like Alex is stuck just saying go, even though he actually did hit his land drop this turn.
Still no blue.
All right, there's black mana for Martin Yuza. It looks like he's still going to discard again here, though.
No, he drew the third land.
Oh, right, he
and
drew it.
He was able to. Oh, wow. We're hearing that Yuza
he doesn't have
had
an island. He doesn't. I don't think he's running any blue.
Sure.
Okay, so I couldn't see it quite, but Rashad says he thinks he saw Martin draw a land but not play it just so he could discard to get some big scavenge beats going. In the meantime, Alex Morel has we have Sky Knight down, which is give him a short reprieve from the onslaught here.
The Grim Roustabout that dealt him so much damage last game. But now Alex is up to 4 lands. He has an inaction injunction. He might very well be able to get the mana that he needs to deal with that Grim Roustabout. We know that he has 2 Tristani's Judgments.
That's right. I think he's got one in hand as well. He is going to hit his land drop here, so he's pulling ahead. We also noticed that Martin doesn't have any green mana available, which is presumably a big chunk of his deck.
And Alex attacking in with his Liev Sky Knight into uses Dark Revenant.
What do you think about that attack?
Really depends on what else. Oh, he gave it +1/+0, first strike and lifelink.
I mean, that's going to give him some life back. He's not going to take a hit from the Grim
So I guess
Roustabout, but that's a card for a card.
That took up Yuza's whole turn. I think he probably figured that. Oh wow.
Okay, so we see an Azorius just this year come down, and it's going to lock down both of Yuza's creatures and allow Alex to get in for 3. That's a fine play, but it just doesn't feel like he's going to be able to keep this pressure up because of that Dark Revenant.
He needs to hit his 6th land. He has that Tristani's Judgment. I think he has the 3/4 Flash Flyer in his hand.
Okay, so if he can get to the
Skyline
6th land,
Predator.
take out the Dark Revenant, and then start committing things like Skyline Predators to the battlefield, I think Alex is going to be in a pretty sweet spot here. Again, Martin Yuza, no sources of green mana here, is hurting him pretty bad.
He does not have the ability to attack this turn because both of his creatures were detained. We see Yuza has a stab wound in his hand, but he doesn't seem eager to cast it. Right, if he wanted to kill the Liev Sky Knight, he could at basically any point.
Okay.
He's waiting for Alex to play a higher toughness creature. Oh, he kills the 2/2.
Well, that's an issue. I guess he figures that the Dark Revenant's going to be around forever, but I think he's going to find out right here that it's not. Looks like it's going to get Tristani's Judgment in potentially. Alex can also use this opportunity to develop his board more instead of just going in for the Judgment right away. He does have a few cards in hand, like a Hussar Patrol and the Skyline Predator that you mentioned, Steve. So he's
And a Frostburn Weird, so he could play Frostburn Weird into Hussar Patrol, use up all of his mana that way.
Do you like doing that? Do you like developing your board first, or do you like taking out the Dark Revenant right now and starting to battle?
I don't think that I would kill the Dark Revenant here.
You would pass a turn back.
I think I would either play the Skyline Predator or use Tristani's Judgment on Yuza's turn. Right.
Okay.
And Alex just passes the turn.
So likely
like
going
that
to
play
see.
a lot.
I like it too. I think we're going to probably see the Skyline Predator come down. I mean, there's even a chance that Yuza attacks here, right? Yuza is at 17.
Well, he has to attack with the Roustabout.
Oh,
And
actually, interestingly, he's going to use the Tristani's Judgment to take out the Roustabout. That's going to push this game into the distance here. But that Dark Revenant is a big problem, as it just trades 1-for-1 over and over and over again.
well, not against the Skyline Predator.
That's very true. And it looks like he's going to battle again.
Well, he knows that Yuza doesn't have a forest. He wants to keep him off of that.
But he's willing to trade one of his threats on the table for one draw step from Yuza. That's pretty
Full
bold.
turn.
It is one turn, but he doesn't have any pressure. I don't know. All right, looks like he's going to do the Frostburn Weird and then on end step.
Oh.
Ooh.
Shows off his
So
3/4
that's
a bit early.
information that Martin will be happy to have, although I don't think it's going to affect this particular board too much. All right, so he's going to pump the Frostburn Weird one time and then play an island so that he can
Well,
still get that
Yuza knows not
Skyline
to
Predator
attack.
in. He does know that. That's true. Okay, now there is, in fact, a forest for Martin, so he needs to start just committing things to the board here, and they're going to have to be things that can get it in the way of at least a Skyline Predator and
Right.
a
Does he have a Trestle Troll or a 2/4 reach?
Towering Indrik.
Towering Indrik thing.
Martin is deep in thought.
No, he plays a Golgari Longlegs. And Alex, of course, plays the end of turn Skyline Predator. And attacks in, knocking Yuza down to 10.
Hover barrier for Alex isn't really going to do a ton here, although it
Well,
does
it's-
hold the Golgari Longlegs at bay, I suppose.
Not that Yuza was necessarily planning on attacking with it anytime soon.
Right.
I think it's doing
But-
a lot more for him on defense.
Yeah, and you know, now that Yuza has 2 forests, basically every card in his deck is open to him. It's just a matter of deciding what he wants to do. He's got a full grip. It looks like he's got about 6 cards in hand.
But he needs to find a way to deal with that Skyline Predator.
He does.
Or, is that a
That is a treasured find.
Gets back his stab wound.
That definitely deals with that predator, and all of a sudden he can make the play that you were mentioning before, Steve, where he just sits there and just says, yeah, keep taking 2 every turn.
Right.
Now Alex can suicide in his Skyline Predator if he wants.
Well, I don't think Yuza would block.
He'd rather just get the damage.
He's taking 1, Alex is taking 2.
That math is definitely in Yuza's favor.
And Yuza gets to attack him with his Dark Revenant.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, Alex would be taking 4 a turn unless he has a way to stop it.
Well, I mean, it depends on what that hover barrier jumps in front of.
Oh, true. No, that's a very good point. Yuza trying to decide if he has an attack. Probably doesn't have anything that he wants to do. Wants to play another creature. The
Okay, now that's
Golgari
an
Decoy.
interesting one. A Golgari Decoy here. Although that does open
Stab wound.
stab wound. Alex can now sit back. But again, it's this funny kind of cat and mouse, because if Alex says, aha, I figured it out, I'll just stay back, then Martin can be like, sure, go.
Right.
Just doesn't even worry about it. And once Alex gets to the point where Martin can get in for a big hit with his other creatures, I mean, right now an all-in attack for Martin Yuza, represents 7 damage from his other 2 creatures. So not good timing for that yet, but
Sure.
if he commits more things to the board, it certainly could be soon.
I think Yuza can be pretty confident that Alex does not have a bounce spell here.
Yeah.
Or he would have bounced his own Skyline Predator.
That's right. All right. Alex is going to attack with both the Frostburn Weird and the crippled Skyline Predator.
Yuza could put his Golgari Longlegs in front of the Frostburn Weird. And presumably they would trade, assuming neither player has a trick.
Indeed. Alex does make that play.
Does Yuza have anything? Is a Golgari Charm.
Now that is going to regenerate.
No, I think he's using it to give -1/-1. Because his opponent's Frostburn Weird is a 4/1.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, and-
either way would do
oh,
it, though, right?
Yeah, Alex just put a Paralyzing Grasp on the board.
On accident.
Yeah, he was going to play his land.
All right. Well, the first time he did that, it was the Skyline Predator, and it kind of didn't matter. This time it definitely does.
Yeah. So now Yuza knows that if he's getting an attack in, it has to make a big impact.
Because for one of his creatures, it will be the last attack that it makes.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate for Alex. Sometimes that happens on accident, and Martin Yuza certainly is going to be happy.
To Grizzly Salvage. Just, it's a forest.
Just a bunch of lands and
Oh,
a treasured find.
There are all those forests that Yuza wasn't drawing earlier.
Yeah, he's going to be happy that he cleared away all that, because there's not a whole lot for him in those next 5 draw steps, which is really quite a few.
Does he have a follow-up play that he wants to make? Is he willing to attack in with the decoy and the long legs to knock Alex down to 9, knowing that Stab Wound is going to do a bunch of work after that?
Ooh, is that a Dead Bridge Goliath?
It is.
All right, so that thing is massive. It's a 5/5.
So now, next turn, Yuza could make a lethal attack.
That's 5, 10, 12. That is indeed the case. So the Golgari decoy is getting a lot of attention here
Right.
in
So
game
now
2.
Yuza knows that Alex has a paralyzing grasp in his hand. If Alex plays the Towering Drake that he just drew, Yuza's going to kill him. Yuza will just attack with all of his creatures.
What did Alex draw?
Towering Drake?
Tower Drake.
Tower Drake?
Yeah.
Alex
So Alex
cannot
actually
play-
has to just not play it and just to hope. Now, we also know that Martin Yuza tends to play around everything, but he's going to try to make a read here, and he might just go for it. He's also, though, not really under any pressure, so he doesn't have a strong compulsion to really do that. The question is going to become, how blown out does he get? Let's say, and Alex does play
Alex.
it. So now Martin
Yuza can just
Yuza
attack
knows.
with impunity. He knows what's in Alex's hand.
Yes, this accidental playing of the wrong card is really going to hurt Alex now, because, look, Martin just says, look, I know what you have in your hand. I know what's on board. Oh, he's asking about the Azorius key rune and
that's
if
affected
it
by-
must block. And the fact is that it is. It's not a triggered ability from the Golgari decoy. It's just a static ability that says everything that can block this does. Period.
Right. It doesn't go on the stack.
Nope, there's nothing on the stack, which is interesting, because it means that if it gets bounced or killed mid-combat, that just stops happening. But it looks like Martin says,
Yeah.
hey, man, look, I know what you got in your hand. Yeah, so Alex Morel made a misplay there, I believe, by playing that lax card. All right, I think, are we going to do the
get another
draft
match?
thing? Or? Oh, you do? Okay.